Hello, everybody. It's Big Al with some more content, Lord of the Rings Rise to War. So, on this video, I am going to do a commander's guide on Haldir. I'm not sure if I've seen any commander guides on him or not, but he's pretty much the forgotten elf. So, let's take a look at him. Just have to find him. There he is. As you can see, I have siege gear on him. That's pretty much tells you how good of a commander he is. So for early game, I pretty much only will use him for the low level mobs to help level up some other commanders. Let's go over his skills. The top R0 skill, March Warden of Lorien. And this is his damage dealing skill. It deals up to 250% physical damage once to 2 enemy formations. And that's every 3 rounds. It will fire off on round 3, 6, and 9. And that gives you some commander attack and focus. His other damage dealing skill, Sylvan Elf. Commander's normal attack deals an additional 100% physical damage as well as 60% poison damage when maxed out. Target's defense is -10 for 2 rounds, and it also deals the poison damage for 2 rounds. So these are what you would use if you are going to use him as the damage dealer. Then he has 2 support skills. Wood Elf. Defensive elf units in 2 allied formations up to 15, and it modifies by initiative stat. And he also gives the commander defense. Well, one thing about this is it is horrible whenever you get any skills that modify with initiative, because plain and simple, you can't get that much initiative. Like this one says for every 100 initiative. It's just using the scale, but nobody's going to have 100 initiative on a commander, let alone Haldir. So you're not going to expect much from the modification. His other one is Galadrium. And this is attack of 2 ranged units, and it gives you up to 15, and it modifies by command stat. And then at level 10, it gives defense of ranged units as well, another +6. So generally speaking, he's not a good damage dealer to have in your main formation for PvP or even really PvE, which is versatiles. I will use him early game in mobs to help level up some commanders, and that's about it. And when I'm doing that, it all depends on if I have ranged units, if I started with the elf settlement, because then I would use him as a support, and it would be the defense of 2 elf units and then the attack of the ranged units, because I would be generally using 2 melee units and 2 ranged units. That way I'm trying to steer the damage to the melee units, which is usually for a commander, like Frodo or Falcon or Gandalf, ones that have good defense. I mean, if you want to use him as the damage dealer, you would put your skill points in March Warden of Lorien first, and then the Sylvan Elf, just to get some damage going. Another thing is you could run him with, say you're running man units, okay, and you have sharpshooters or the tier 2 version of them because you're using him early game. You could use the attack of the ranged units with command, and you would load them up with some defense and command. So we're going to take a look at his relic. The March Warden Bow. Just like all the others, it has the stats. It has commander hit points, commander attack, unit defense. Well, for him, those stats make sense because you could use them as a damage dealer for the mobs. You could buff the units. And then the ability, elf units in the commander's formation gain initiative and their defense +3 when battling on woodland. To me, that is horrible. I hate abilities that are so specific. So this ability is only going to work on woodland? Well, that's kind of a ripoff. You spent that much time and effort to level him up, and then his relic only works in specific situations. So to me, it's not worth ascending him to get his relic. Honestly, it's not. To me, it's not worth ascending him from epic to legendary. I have him ascended because that's the way it formulated when the switch came over from 1.0 to 2.0 in the game. So, like I said, generally use him early for the mobs, but then I just use him for siege. I can't see him being a useful commander even when you're starting out and you don't have many commanders. He is not a great damage dealer or support. I mean, if you're going to go with the damage skills, you're going to want to use, the normal damage dealer skills, which I'm going to just click over to Dane to show you what the purple damage dealer gear would look like. As far as running him as a support, you would run something like this kind of gear. You could put like a firework here. You could put a firework in the accessory to give more unit attack if you're using that respect level 4 skill for the attack of the ranged units. You can adjust things as you please for him. Let me see if there's really not much. You could use something like the Carver. Would also help because you have the commander focus, which is going to help deal that poison damage that he has on his R2 skill. It has the commander damage to help there, and it also has some unit attack. So, like I said, Haldir is the forgotten elf. Out of all the elves, I want to say he is probably the one with the least amount of uses. Because everybody else has their kind of niche where they're good with, say, medium units, or they're good for evade, or things like that. But Haldir is kind of the forgotten elf where his skill set really doesn't make much difference. It doesn't help him out that much. It won't help out your army. So this is my recommendation to people is save the respect items. Don't ascend him to legendary. You're better off with Dwalin, Eowyn, Boromir. Those, I think, are the top 3 to ascend. So, once you get done with the low-level mobs, and when I say low-level mobs, I'm talking anywhere from level 6 to level 20. And early game, you should be doing a lot of those mobs to level up your commanders. Also helps level up your fellowship. So, that's the video on Haldir. I know it was a little bit kind of disappointing, but I hope it clears up some questions people have about him. So, as always, make the most out of what you got.